A veteran journalist on Tuesday tells the Senate panel President Rodrigo Duterte is the #1 source of fake news. Ellen Tordesillas of Files makes the statement during the second Senate hearing on fake news. Tordesillas says government officials use taxpayers' money to spread wrong information.
The worrisome part of this is that most of the sources of this information is being perpetrated by government officials on taxpayers' money. And the #1 source of fake news is the President Duterte himself.
But Communications Undersecretary for New Media Lorraine Badoy says Vice President Lenny Robredo is the primary purveyor of fake news. Badoy says Robredo allegedly painted a gloomy picture of the country to the international community. She makes the claim against Robredo as she protested the direction of the Senate hearing, which at the time was focused on the responsibility of the PCOO in making sure that government employees are bound by ethical standards when they post online. Blogger Tonya Cruz asks Badoy to clarify if her allegation against Robredo is official government line.
Madam Chair, we've talked about ASEC Boca for maybe like a third of the time.
Madam Chair, is that the official position of the PCOO? That they're accusing the Office of the Vice President of spreading fake news, peddling misinformation? Is that the official stand of the PCOO? Or is it just the personal stand of Ms. Badoy?
Okay, you say that the Vice President is the biggest purveyor of fake news?
Maybe one of the.
Okay, tell me, please qualify your
For
answer.
instance, she just said recently that she paints a gloomy picture of the country at a time in our history when all the important numbers for our country are looking up. Fantastic numbers, in fact, and she says it's doom and gloom and nababalutan sa dilim or something. But an unprecedented number of Filipinos, 98%, very hopeful. For the first time, it's unprecedented, and this is an international audience that she peddles and spreads these lies about.
Interaction and Business World Editor-in-Chief Robbie Alampay says it's untenable to have public officials who invoke private positions when they post online.
That there is no such thing as your private equity here. Anything you say will be attributed, not just will be attributed not just to you and not just to your office, but to government.
Senator Grace Poe asked Communications Secretary Martin Andanar if he ever considered shutting down Assistant Secretary Mocha Usan's blog or asking her to leave the government because of her controversial social media posts. Poe poses the question during the second Senate hearing on the proliferation of fake news Tuesday. Andanar insists Usan's blog does not reflect the views of the Presidential Communications Operations Office. But Poe says there is conflict of interest between Usan's official functions and running her private blog. She says Usan's government position and use of her blog to fulfill the same position has made Palace Communications confusing to the disservice of citizens. Andanar says he spoke to Usan about her blog and convinced her to take down certain erroneous or controversial posts after he received complaints about them. Poe also asks if the PCOO imposes standards on the quality of information Usan posts on her blog, similar to standards imposed by news organizations on their reports. Andanar says the PCOO does not approve or vet any of Usan's posts on her personal blog. Poe then tells Andanar Usan might be better off carrying on with her blogging as a private individual. Supreme Court Associate Justice Teresita Leonardo-de Castro, during the impeachment hearing against Chief Justice Maria-Lourdes Sereno, questions the top magistrate's inclusion in the Judicial and Bar Council shortlist for the top judiciary post in 2012. Lawyer Larry Gadon last Thursday filed a graft complaint against Sereno before the Justice Department over her apparent failure to submit statements of assets, liabilities, and net worth during her stint as University of the Philippines law professor. De Castro says Sereno's apparent non-submission of SALNs means she should not have been considered for the Chief Justice post. She says the act could have resulted in unwarranted benefit that may constitute as a violation of the Anti-Graft and Corrupt Practices Act. In an earlier hearing, De Castro earlier complained Sereno repeatedly made decisions without consulting the SC en banc. Rappler CEO and Executive Editor Maria Rosa says she warned Communications Secretary Martin Andanar against sending his office's employees to China and Russia to undergo information dissemination seminars. Rosa says the two countries are known for controlling and even manipulating media content.
I just cautioned, and I know we spoke about this already, I just feel that that is a difficult thing because more power and kudos to everything that you're doing with PNA and with the agencies to try to upgrade them. But I think falling into this kind of pattern using different disinformation tactics could work against all of us as a nation.
Rosa makes the statement during the second Senate hearing on fake news Tuesday. She cites the case of patriotic trolling or state-sponsored online hate campaign to silence and intimidate critics of the administration. The state-run Philippine news agency earlier reported the PCOO and the Russian Ministry of Telecom and Mass Communications would cooperate on the field of state information dissemination, including media training of PCOO staffers in Russia. The Philippines and Russia last November signed 8 bilateral agreements, including a memorandum of understanding on cooperation in mass communications. China controls information flow through propaganda messages on traditional media and by blocking access to certain websites. Russia, on the other hand, is accused of producing fake social media accounts. Twitter earlier shut down more than 1,000 accounts associated with the Internet Research Agency and considered a troll farm connected to the Russian government. Central Intelligence Agency Director Mike Pompeo says Russian election interference has not stopped and Moscow can be expected to meddle in the 2018 United States polls. Pompeo says Russian activity hasn't decreased. He adds, quote, "I have every expectation that they will continue to try and do that, but I'm confident that America will be able to have a free and fair election and that we will push back in a way that is sufficiently robust that the impact they have on our election won't be great." US intelligence agencies concluded at the end of 2016 that Russian President Vladimir Putin had directed a broad intelligence effort to influence the presidential election that year to undermine the campaign of Democrat Hillary Clinton and boost Donald Trump's chances. That effort included hacking and releasing emails and documents from the Clinton campaign and filling social media with posts and news items aimed at discrediting her. Trump repeatedly dismisses the idea that Moscow helped him and allegations his campaign colluded with the Russians as fake news.